once again. Already we have completed the half of our technical session and we learned about a lot of things about emotional teaching in emotional intelligence in classroom teaching from Dr. Priyadarshini and also from Dr. Ajanta. Now we are going to start the last part of our technical session and we are very glad to have our session chair, our Honorable VC sir with us. At this moment, may I request our session chair, Professor Dr. Anwar Hussain, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Northern University, Bangladesh, to prompt his valuable idea and opinion about today's theme.
Thank you very much, Farzana Chaudhary, respected Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam, all the galaxy of speakers, international, Dr. Ajanta, Dr. Priyadarshini, and many more. I really failed to count. And I'm also happy that so many of our colleagues have joined. All of you, good evening. Although I'm not keeping physically well, despite the subject matter is so attractive that I have decided to at least listen to some of the lectures. So I'll be brief in my session. I will just welcome you all, the great speakers, especially dealing with a very important topic, emotional intelligence, which is really a kind of, I would say, a, a key to unlock the full potential of a person and also faculty. I, I think whether it is in teaching or management, wherever you are, this is very, very important. And the issue of empathy versus sympathy, the issue of self-concept, self-awareness, self-social skill, these are soft skills, those which will really make the difference between the personality of a person as a successful career holder. I'm really happy that so many of our faculty members are here. We are all trying to augment our knowledge level, especially in this area, because we deal with students all the time. And these students, as rightly said by Dr. Ajanta, some of them are fresh graduates, some of them are working. So in the evening program, they have their energy level at the 0 a.m. And the fresh students who have got so much energy, restless, they cannot continue to listen to your lecture for long. So how to captivate them, how to keep them spellbound, that is the real trick of a teacher. And very nice points have been raised, empathy, self-concept, and other issues. I just want to impress upon one simple fact that if you look into the Joe Harry window, that a person's out of 4 quadrants, only one part is visible. So when we see a student, his only background is not properly known to us. So we have to develop the habit of gossiping and talking to the student to know about his background, family issues, financial issues, and other things. So only then we can possibly become more empathetic to them and try to figure out what is the problem that he's having or not. That will really allow the teacher to inspire him to, and the student will trust him. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to establish a rapport and a task with the students. So I thank you all for listening to me, and I would like to thank Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam and the Business School for organizing such a very, very effective and timely workshop for our faculty members. I think whether it is whoever is teaching in whatever courses, whether whatever departments, you need to have this emotional intelligence. I would like to thank once again all the great speakers. Dr. Izaz, if my physics permit, I will also listen to some of your questions. Thank you very much. Over to President Dr. Nazrul Islam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable words regarding this workshop and topic and the title of the workshop, Emotional Intelligence in Classroom Teaching. At this stage, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Arhan Thapit, Professor of Management and International Business, Nepal Open University, Nepal, and Professor Arhan will speak on motivation, self-motivation in and classroom teaching. Professor Arhan.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good evening to all. Honorable Chair, Vice Chancellor of Northern University, Bangladesh, Professor Dr. Anwar Hussain, sir. Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam, sir. Eminent personalities, erudite scholars here in this session, and faculty members. So here I would like to share my slides. Please permit me to share my slides. First of all, I would like to congratulate Northern University Bangladesh to organize this type of program, which is very, very useful to the development of faculty members of the higher education institutions. So I've been given this job to speak on self-motivation and classroom teaching. So here, my hearty greetings from Nepal, the country of Lord Buddha and Mount Everest. So here, now my major issue today is self-motivation. Basically, I would like to have the perspective of teachers on this particular matter, emotional intelligence and self-motivation in the classroom teaching. So my perspective is primarily that of teachers. And the context that I'd be dealing with is higher education, basically universities and the higher education institutions. Then my context is to cover both online classes and physical classes. So we are all involved in both of these classes probably. So we are having flipped classroom methods these days in universities because of the COVID-19 crisis, because of the virus outbreak. Now we have had a very terrible time that our mankind has ever known in the history. So then we are also involved in both online as well as physical learning modes. Therefore, my context is to cover both of them. Since we are a bit behind the schedule, so I'm sure you are also trying to skip the session as quickly as possible. Therefore, I'm also trying to go a bit quickly. So basically, I don't want to talk more about the definitions and all, of course, because these are the issues our the predecessors or the speakers, both Priyadarshini ma'am and Ajanta sir have already covered them. So I won't be talking more about those nitty-gritties of the definitions and all. So I'll go quickly. So basically, even this the difference between attitudes and emotions is something that we are very much sometimes we get confused. So more about those things. It's more about the theoretical aspects. Again, I want to skip those things also because it's more theoretical things. Yes, of course. So as predecessors also talked about Daniel Goleman, the personality behind the popularization of this concept of multiple intelligences. And he also advocated for the promotion of emotional intelligence, and also through his book. And then the extent to which a person is attuned to his own feelings and to the feelings of others, as Goleman has rightly pointed it out. And this is something we have emphasized time and again. Our predecessors also emphasized on this matter time and again. So having this emotional intelligence is extremely important for teachers, because we deal with people, we deal with students from different walks of life, having so much diversity in terms of their ethnicity, in terms of their language, in terms of their culture, in terms of their personal goals and all. Then it is very important for us to understand their emotion. So that intelligence is extremely important. And as they say, there are five traits of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation. Those things have already been covered by Professor Dr. Ajanta Dharmasri, sir, and then empathy by Priyadarshini ma'am. So I won't be talking about that. But basically, my job today is to speak on self-motivation. And to be more specific, self-motivation in classroom teaching. All right, so emotionally intelligent teacher is the need of the day. So our universities, our society, our countries around the world require an emotionally intelligent teacher. It is very, very important. So we have to motivate our students. So that means every teacher has to be emotional intelligent, and he or she has to have the self-motivation. He or she should be self-motivated. So it's one of the non-cognitive skills, uh, along with perseverance, empathy, self-control, self-awareness, and all. So there should be drive strength. It's the ability to drive energy and motivation to accomplish personally meaningful goals in learning. When we enter any class, whether it is a virtual or physical class, we have to have this energy. So ability to direct energy and motivation to accomplish personally meaningful goals of both students, teachers, and even the academic administration together. Collaboration should be there. So teachers with a high degree of self-motivation are usually willing to put off immediate results for long-term success. They are highly productive, and they love challenge, and they are effective in whatever they do. So therefore, motivating to develop reading skills for the learning skills of students is very, very important. So we all have to work together. We have to collaborate with each other to motivate our students to develop their reading skills, which is very important. Okay, reading skills, very important. I'll also emphasize and encourage them to pursue further learning skills also. Then applying self-motivation in classroom teaching. It involves using emotions to maximize intellectual processing and decision making in classroom setting. When we enter our class, then naturally we have to be self-motivated to make sure that we interact well, we know each other well, and we uh, collaborate to pursue our mutual goals. Therefore, we need to motivate our students, and we also encourage our students to motivate us. So it is a two-way process. Both of us have to be fully engaged in this process, motivating others and letting them motivate us. So this has to be two-way process, I believe. So there is an imperative need to positively motivate students and other stakeholders, including academic leaders, academic administration in this teaching learning process. So it's essential for effective classroom management and effective learning as well. Self-motivated teachers and academic leaders enjoy whatever their profession demands them to do. I personally believe, and I'm sure you also agree with me, that when teachers like us are self-motivated, then we have to enjoy whatever our profession, our teaching profession demands us to do. So we try to enjoy whatever we do in our classrooms. So this is the spirit that keeps our spirit always high and bolster up our spirit all the time. So in the classroom, of course, self-motivation for better classroom management and better learning. So here you can see more engaged people in learning. So we have our people more engaged in learning, and it is how we motivate them. And we have better quality relationship with our teachers, for which we have to develop the empathy as Priyadarshini ma'am has already pointed out. This is also equally important. And then once you have the relationship, then you can motivate them to accomplish the mutually set goals and perform better academically. That is our common goal, that we both teachers and students work together. And also we demonstrate increased pro-social behavior. So since we are a part of the society, we cannot remain aloof from the society. We are very much engaged in the society. Therefore, there should be pro-social behaviors. We have to motivate each other to interact, communicate well, to share experiences and emotions so that we know each other very well and we can really motivate them for accomplishment of mutual goals. I'm sorry, here are some technical glitches arose. All right, so now I'm back. All right, so apology for the disruption. All right, so applying this issue, the self-motivation in classroom teaching. So applying it to a learning triangle. So we have already been exposed to what Ajanta sir has already told about it. So basically, my point is a bit different from his. Basically, he tried to elaborate on self awareness and self regulation. Then, when we apply it to learning triangle, then yes, of course, content wise, we motivate our students to learn the essentials, the content, the curriculum better way. So it would include the content, basically would include the four major things that would constitute competency. That is knowledge, attitude, skill, and abilities, or the acronym would be CASA, KASA. So content that we have to inculcate into our syllabus, our curriculum. And this is how we motivate our students to learn more, not only learning what we deliver to them, but also remain inquisitive, curious to know more. So this is how we motivate them to learn more about the content, about the essentials that content. Then assessment, how we evaluate their performance, so assessing their performance. And then instruction, that is the delivery aspects, how you deliver your lecture or you take your classes, whether in the virtual or physical classes. Again, to be more specific, let me take more into this. So take initiatives to make contents more course design, basically. So it is very, very important that we develop links to practical and the real life needs of our students. And that this will really motivate our students to work hard and to remain always open to learning. And this is very important these days. We design our contents, then the content should also encompass the issues that have the direct linkage with what they have felt, what they have come across in their life. That is very important. And then take initiatives to ameliorate delivery, or that is basically instructional design. We can make our delivery, our classes more interesting. So it's very, very recommended, highly recommended to make classes livelier, more interesting. So you can use videos probably. You can use graphics, or or even asynchronous learning resources. So here I would like to share one of the recent research works we have carried out in our university. Since my university, Nepal Open University, is the only university in Nepal that is exclusively based on online mode of learning. And we started almost 2.5 years ago. And so there, since we are based on online learning, we were not really disturbed by the pandemic and the lockdown, all those things. Our sessions went so well, except a few technical glitches. So then we carried out a research work. Then it's very interesting to discover that even the use of animation in our PowerPoint slides could increase the interest or the motivation level of students, or the engagement level of students by 3 times. And this is the finding of our research at Nepal Open University. So that might be different in case of physical classes that most of the conventional universities are based on. But in case of our university, this is the thing. So that means use of animation in your PowerPoint slides. Use really the bullets that quickly moves through during your session. So also it is recommended to promote participatory discussions, encourage students' inputs, encourage them to have their say. For example, in our case, in Nepal Open University, our students are almost all the students are working people. So some of them are even older than we are. So they have more experience, more working experience than we have. Then these people should be motivated in different ways from what we motivate other fresh students. So we try to motivate them by inviting them to share their experiences, their stories, their professional experiences and all. And it really get them engaged in the learning process. So this is the experience probably is you can also apply to your teaching learning process in your university probably. Okay, also while ameliorating your delivery, you can also emphasize on you viewpoint. That basically, this is the word I have taken from communication, management communication, business communication, you viewpoint. When you tell your students with the you viewpoint, then it is enough to whet their appetite for learning. That means not using I viewpoint, we viewpoint, but you viewpoint. So telling them you will learn this much, you will find it interesting. So here it is the you viewpoint, and this is very, very effective to whet their appetite for learning, not only for present learning, what you've been teaching right now, but also for further learning. That could be useful. And also and classroom teaching, we can motivate students by taking initiatives to make assessment meaningful, to promote creativity and critical analysis. Here your assessment should have some of the components that would demand creativity. They have to write the answers with their own thoughts. So they should come up with critical analysis, and that will really help them in making their assessment interesting, and they would get also engaged in their assessment. So, all right. So these are the things we have to take into consideration once again. So when teacher and subject matter is the content we already discussed, so or curriculum, and then teacher and the teacher and subject matter, and there the connection is expertise. Teacher and student, the connection is teacher, what you teach them, and student and the subject matter, the connection is learning. So this is theoretically how we have to understand this entire process so that we can apply self-motivation to learning triangle. All right, then we have to ask ourselves, are we really self-motivated to hone essential skills in our students? And at times we fail to ask this question to ourselves. But today, let's make it an opportunity to ask ourselves this question. Are we really self-motivated to hone essential skills in our students? Of course, what type of skills are really important these days? As World Economic Forum has also emphasized on different skills that would really make the students sellable in the market, okay, as per the demand of the market. So it's basically relating to higher order thinking, analytical, diagnostic skills, critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, systems analysis skills. So these are the things that would constitute the metacognitive skills. And we need to motivate them to hone these skills, to develop these skills, or to enhance these skills. Only then we'll be able to really take them to the goal that we all want them to be in. So emotional intelligence skills are equally important. When we develop these skills, we hone these skills, we enhance these skills, then we'll have both sustainability and growth. So we teachers have our very important role to play in developing, in honing these skills in our students. And here, let me pinpoint the exact skills we have to address in our teaching learning process. As Bloom's taxonomy, both original and revised ones, have advised. So we have to emphasize and motivate our students to learn more metacognitive skills, so more creating, evaluating, analyzing things. So these are the more skills we are more inclined towards. So here, before I wrap up my discussion, let me share some of the antecedents and experiences from my country. So when students, some of the students in our accountancy classes or statistics classes, so these are the numerical classes where teachers are required to show how to solve problems and all in these numerical classes, then students were really confused and they were demotivated to attend the classes. Then one of our colleagues developed the innovative way. So this was basically when the pandemic just started last early April. So we had started our fresh session. Then students were not motivated to join those classes because they could not really capture what was being taught over there. So one of my colleagues, teachers, came up with some innovative idea. Then quickly he started shooting his picture. He used a whiteboard in his room and started teaching the way the physical classes would appear. So he recorded it and then he distributed these videos in different, different chunks of or instruments. So titling these films, these videos, and then shared with the students. Then students came to the class, they joined the classes, and it's very surprising. The number of attendees simply doubled after this. So this is how we can motivate our students. So here, emotional intelligence really worked, because most of our students are the working people and they get tired when they join classes in the evening, because we take classes mostly in the evening. So they come to the classes tired, and when they could not really understand the numericals or the way solutions were being displayed to them, demonstrated to them, then they got frustrated, they got demotivated. But with the introduction of this type of innovative learning videos and all, they the things really improved. And this is how we amended the things, right? And yes, some of the experiences I would like to share here is in Nepal, the emotional intelligence and the emotional intelligence related education has been initiated as a campaign. And emotional intelligence for people management and education has been our major focus. So I'm talking about an organization that works in the area of promoting emotional intelligence for human resource management and for peace education, basically. And then emergence of emotional literacy, emotional maturity, and emotional quotient. So this is the time we have observed. And here I would like to uh, show you this gentleman, and he is Dr. Dean van Leuven. In emotional intelligence, he developed a very effective questionnaire. So Dr. Dean van Leuven, the founder of Emotional Literacy League, and Life Without Anger of USA. And then he became a great friend of Nepal. He visited 7 times to address the WWA international conferences as the chief guest. And let me also inform you that this World Without Anger, WWA, is World Without Anger. And this organization organizes international conferences on emotional intelligence and people management every year. And for the last 7 consecutive conferences, Dr. Dean van Leuven, already an octogenarian, he was almost 90 years, He traveled all the way from the United States, and he addressed our program. But unfortunately, he passed away in 2019, just 1 month ahead of our conference. So this is the international conference specialized in the area of emotional intelligence. So it highlights the importance of emotional intelligence. So Dr. Dean van Leuven has developed the training manual for South Asian people, for teachers, students, as well as managers and employees in Nepal and South Asia. And his training manual on emotional intelligence literacy has been translated into Nepali and other South Asian languages, I believe also into Hindi. I don't know about Bengali, I don't know, but probably that there is a potentiality. So this is the basic manual he developed. All right, so having informed you this much, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the organizers, particularly to Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam, sir, and moderator, ma'am, everyone, and thank you, audience, for listening to me. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Arhan Thabit, for discussing this very important component of emotional intelligence, that is self-motivation. Of course, we want more engaged learning. We want more engaged classroom learning, so that we need to motivate our students, we need to understand our students, we need to use and think and use lots to hearts. That means Bloom's taxonomy, memorizing capability. We need to think about understanding capability, analyzing capability, applying, evaluating, and creating capability of the students. We need to develop this capability among our students. So thank you very much for your valuable lecture on self-motivation, which is a component of emotional intelligence. Now, I would like to invite Professor Ijaz Ahmed. Professor Ijaz Ahmed is presently working as a Dean of Division of Business, Entrepreneurship and Technology, Columbia College, South Carolina, USA. Professor Ijaz Ahmed will speak on social skills and classroom teaching. Professor Ahmed.
Thank you, sir. I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Please let me know. Okay. Now, before I start, I'd like to say a few things, and I hope it is okay with all of you. Since we have international participants here today, I'll be discussing the matters in English. Otherwise, I would have used Bengali, as all of us can understand it. Now, nearly 20 years ago, I used to teach at Northern University, Bangladesh, when it was based in Mohammadpur in a small building. I don't know where it is right now. I have been to Bangladesh for several years. Um, and also, I would like to update and inform everybody that I was very fortunate to have your Vice Chancellor, sir, as my direct teacher in my MBA program, and also your Vice Chancellor, Professor Nazrul Islam, as one of my research mentors when I worked with him at Brack University. That was also about 20 years ago. And finally, before I start the presentation, one of my senior from Aligarh Muslim University, Professor Ikram, who is also attending today. It's a great pleasure to see you again, Ikram Bhai, after a long, long time. And he was one of the best science students among all the Bangladeshis in Aligarh Muslim universities. Having said that, today's session, my session is at the end, and I know there are good and bad things about when your session is at the end, because by this time you already know what is emotional intelligence is. You're already an expert of it. You already know how to use it. And I'm sure all of you have been using it, because if you didn't, you would not be attending today's session because you are successful professors. So on that note, and giving credits to all my previous excellent speakers on the topic, I'd like to suggest that today's session is not about techniques, but also about discussing what are the real issues, what are the key issues that we can look into. Now, emotional intelligence has always been there. It is nothing new that someone has created in the 80s or 90s, but Goldman has marketed it so well that it has been seen that if you do not have emotional intelligence, then you won't be successful. In fact, this is the case. But why does it matter? Because we as a human being, or a social human being, are associated with others. We care for each other. So your role, and we have a power struggle here because you are a faculty member and others are students. So the power is imbalanced here. I hope you can understand it. So when you practice that and all of a sudden you get those absolute power, you feel like you can dictate, manipulate, or influence your students, whereas it's the opposite. Those who are well connected, they can influence students for a long time, for a lifelong. In my career, I still practice what I have been learned by your Vice Chancellor, sir, more than 21 years ago. I still remember my discussion with your Vice Chancellor on a regular basis. So it's not it's not when you go to a shop and buy something, this is not how it works. So your social skills, your emotional intelligence is an ongoing process. This is not something that you can start adding from tomorrow morning. Well, you can start thinking about it, but I'm sure you have been practicing it for a long time. So what is the meaning of social skills? It's pretty simple. It's you have to understand how to react at different social situations differently. So right now we are all here as academics, and we share the same passion for teaching at the university level, doing research and helping each other, let's say. So you have been practicing it, but you didn't realize that what is the significance of it. Probably some of you, not all of you. Modify your interactions with people to get the best result out of it. So if you are thinking about going for a vacation and Monday morning you go and talk to your bosses, probably it's not going to work because he is very busy and he's planning for the rest of the week. But if you go towards the end of the week and say, sir, I would like to go, or sir or ma'am, I would like to go for a trip to Cox's Bazar for 7 days or 10 days, or to Nepal to see the Mount Everest for 7 days and 10 days, probably he or she will be interested to give you the leave. Otherwise, he would say, no, 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 we are very busy right now. Don't even think about it. We are in the middle of the term or semester. Individuals with high social skills are very good in change management. And we all know that change management is a part of the process. Every single week you go through changes by your bosses, by your students, by the government policies, by your relationship, a lot of other things. So change is a continuous process. Those who are high with social skills, they're also good in resolving conflict. And the word diplomatically is used here, but I think they can resolve conflict better. That's the main purpose here. Now, those who also have good social skills, that means they understand how to react differently at different times. They can, they do not sit back. They just do not wait until the world ends. They will move forward and will try to do something to change it. They will also make an exemplary behavior or an exemplary performance. That means if you are thinking about exemplary, if you are publishing research, your research should be at the higher level, at an international standard, so that you can see that that becomes an exemplary behavior. A student comes to you and talks about his or her emotional distress. How do you manage the student? Do you support the student? Do you suggest that the university has different options for you so that you will be supported? Or you simply say, well, everybody has issues in their lives, go and do your work. So which one is exemplary? So think about it from your own perspective and you'll see what do you mean by, or what do we mean by exemplary behavior? The behavior that sets you apart, the behavior or the performance that makes you one of the best in the group. And don't forget, all of us here started just like you started as a lecturer or as assistant professor. It happened to your vice chancellor, it happens to your pro vice chancellor, it happens to your director, deans, or everyone else. They didn't just come to the point of the vice chancellorship or a registrar or a dean position only by sheer performance. They had to use communication. They had to understand when to go for promotion. They had to negotiate their situations with the administration, with their life, with their family. So remember that it's all about how you motivate yourself. As my previous excellent speaker, Professor Dr. Thapit has said, it is very important for you to understand where you are heading next and what you are going to do. Now, what are the challenges of university teaching? Very important. Interestingly, we have a very high stress job. A lot of people do not realize. Many of the people in the world might think that it is the easiest job to teach. It is not the case. I can guarantee you that when I have taught in Bangladesh, in Australia, and in the US over the last 20 years. And we are highly stressed because we are in strict time frame. We also have a very low pay as compared to the industries. If you are working in an investment firm or in a bank or any other corporate areas, your payment structure would have been very high. You would have received bonuses, which in the universities all over the world, not necessarily in Bangladesh only or in Nepal or in India, anywhere in the world, you do not get a pay rise or a bonus unless it is negotiated in your dean or other position, which I don't think in South Asia it works. But in the United States and other parts of the world, programs such as MBA directors and deans, they can negotiate above their pay level as a bonus for how many students they recruit in a year. But trust me, it is not easy. Low levels of collegiality, teamwork. We all work individually. When you publish a paper, it's your paper. It's not your colleague's paper. When you do really great in your work, when you lecture really good, it is your lecture. You get the best lecturer award, not as a team. That is the problem, inherent problem of collegiality in the university sector. How can you change it? Work together, combine your professors with your work, request them to give suggestions. When I work at BRAC University as a full-time faculty member, just like you, I ran to Professor Nazrul all the time and would say, sir, can you help me with this? Can you tell me what should I do? And I'm sure he will be giving you a lot of stories about me, hopefully all the good ones. But it is always important that you connect with others. Do not work by yourself. You don't have a lot of administrative support or academic support as such. Most of you do not have secretaries who will be doing work for you. If you have one, well, excellent. I think Northern University is supporting you a lot, because in other parts of the world, we don't have that luxury. So we probably have one dean for the entire division or the school, or for the deans. That is pretty much it. But assistant professors, associate professors, and professors, they basically run their offices by themselves. Mounting student concerns and behavior issues. Students are stressed too, and I'll be going to that in the next couple of slides, and you will see why. Mental health has been ignored in higher education or academia for a long, long time, as if we don't have the mental concerns, we don't get stressed, we are coming from a different world altogether. It's not the case. And also, you all realize that continuously the goalpost changes. So whenever you are ready for your next promotion, you will be told that, well, it has changed. You don't have a grant, you don't have a publication. You have a publication, but not international. You have an international publication, not high standard. You don't have citations. So you will be seeing changing goalposts throughout your career. So how you manage it, you also work towards it. You negotiate, you see how it will benefit you in the future. If you don't, then you'll remain where you are right now. Now, all of them leads to the negative emotions. I'm sure some of my previous speakers have talked about negative emotions. We have more negative emotions, the way we express ourselves than positive. And this is the bad thing. So celebrate your successes, celebrate your achievements. Even if it is a great lecture that you have just delivered, you come out from the lecture and you know that that lecture was excellent. Celebrate this with others. Tell others, how did you do really well in that? Universities and colleges are not very good in distributing the best practices of teaching. We do not have the culture, primarily in almost all universities and colleges in the world, where every semester the professors will come together and say, well, look, this is what I have done and worked really good in my course. We don't do it. We don't share it. Universities should start doing it. A lot of universities have done that. And trust me, the ones which are really good universities in teaching and learning, those who are focused on engaged teaching, they have been practicing it for a long, long time. Then why are we teaching? We have all these problems here, right? This slide is, I don't think you are expecting it today, but why are we doing it? Because we love our job. We have chosen to be poor, no doubt about that. We have chosen to come to this profession because we would like to change lives. We would like to do research. We would like to produce creative work which we will be able to leave behind as our legacy when we will be gone from this world. And you have already seen that how a professor from the United States who traveled 7 times, even in his later years of his life, and he made an impact. Now, he had the choice not to do it, but he did it. So that shows that the passion that we have for teaching. So on that note, I congratulate all of you on a personal level that you have been really, really working hard towards your job, no doubt about that. The next slide is about engaged learning and teaching experiences. And I think some of you have been discussing about it for this session. And it has the way it has been seen that engaged learning and teaching means students have the opportunities to engage deeply in their own learning. So that means the use of andragogy should work and not pedagogy. Probably you have heard about pedagogy and also andragogy. Andragogy is a concept that is developed more recently, not like pedagogy. Pedagogy has been there for hundreds of years, whereas andragogy has been there for not more than 30 or 40 years, which shows that you should guide your students what to study, how to study, not actually suggesting the way they should be doing it. Because students learn differently. Some students learn early in the morning, some students learn from YouTube videos, some students learn by reading books, some students learn by ebook. So you don't know how they will do it, but you should provide them the opportunity. That is number one here, that you have to give them the opportunity to engage in deep learning. This is very important, not on the surface. Tell them about the story behind a particular management concept, history behind it, who were the main contributors, and where is it heading next, so that they have a lifelong interest in those. When I studied my MBA program, and your Vice Chancellor, sir, has taught me management and organizational behavior, he seeded in me that those ideas about um, that how the relationship between employee and employer work. And later in my life, I have done my PhD on human resource management, and I could see that how could I go back and connect those ideas. So I'm just suggesting you that do not teach from the concept of completion of a term or a semester. Think from a deeper sense, that how can students make themselves really, really well in the rest of their lives. A practice transfer or application of knowledge, very important. Students learn better when we have application of the theories. Theories are boring. Nobody likes theories. I don't want to know what people have done in the last 100 years. Show me how those can be helpful in my real life. So if you're teaching finance, show them how the banks work. Tell them about return on investment. If you are teaching engineering or mathematics, suggest how those can be applicable in real life situation, not just the bookish definition. That is not going to work. Student-centered and transformative. Students should come to you with no knowledge, and you will be proud to provide them through different, I don't know how many credits they have to finish for a bachelor's degree, probably 120. That's a universal credits. Some countries have more or less, but usually it's 120 credits, let's say. So when they come, they have 0 credits, but when they finish, they have 120 credits. So these 120 credits make them set for rest of their lives. So it's not easy for the university to identify those 120 credits. So it changes all the time. So choose courses structured in a way that is student-centered, and then transform it so that you can see the course that you are teaching, where does it fit in someone's major or someone's concentration of, let's say, Bachelor of Business, BBA in marketing. So where does your course fit into that? And why is it important? So that it transform themselves. And provide them frequent feedback. Your feedback is very important. It has been said that those who are performance oriented, they would like to see the feedback immediately. They would like to know the feedback. So how often do you give your students the feedback? There are 2 types of assessments. We already know about it. One is summative that we used to do when I studied in Aligarh Muslim University. I had only 1 final exam at the end of the year. Whereas in the semester system, it is more formative. So in the first week, you have a test. In the second week, you have a quiz. In the third week, you have another test or an assessment or a presentation. So we also have a midterm and a final. So these things are called formative assessment. You already know about it. So give them enough feedback so that they can start getting the understanding how they are performing. And it doesn't matter how bad they have performed or how good they have performed. Give them credits for what they have done. Tell them how they can improve. And if they are really, really not good or really not passing the course, tell them what services can you provide, can your colleagues provide, or your department or the university can provide. Very important. And universities should start thinking about this kind of support mechanism. And then students should be able to reflect on their work and feedback both. So students should assess themselves that, yes, I didn't do well in this course, and that's why I received a B plus or a B or something like that. But students who receive really high grades should also be able to reflect that why they have been doing it really well. COVID-19, I call it a dark cloud for higher education because you probably realize that over 220 million students worldwide have been directly affected by the COVID-19 university closures. So in universities and colleges in March, April, May, many parts of the world, universities and colleges are still um, they are still closed. They are not offering courses on campus, and the number is 220 million. And the universities faced immediately a lot of issues: inequity, infrastructure. We didn't have the learning management system like we have Moodle right now, but 1 year ago we were not that great in Moodle and everything else. We didn't need it because we were all doing on-campus teaching. Okay, now am I getting a lot of echo here? Can everybody mute themselves, please?
We can see the slides, no problem.
Okay, so I think this is very important that you will find that universities went through a lot of challenges, and we have seen that, and a recent research has shown that nearly a quarter or 25% of the faculty members have been struggling with mental stress. So our job is stressful. On the top of that, COVID-19 has put an extra bonus of stress on us. So you can see why it is very important for us to understand social skills, empathy, or all the practices that we have been discussing throughout the evening. Now, it is also affecting enrolled and graduating students. Can you imagine if you are a graduating students this year? When organizations are not recruiting well, when organizations are shutting down their businesses all over the world. In the United States, a quarter of the population has either lost a job or has reduced income, a quarter. So that means nearly the entire population of Dhaka and Chittagong, our entire population has seen the lower income level. Now it impacts a lot of people. People have bills to pay, people have mortgages, people have loans, car loans, and all this kind of stuff. Where do you think they get money from? Nowhere, unless they get into a new job, but there is no job in the market right now. 75% academic job has gone down in the United States in the last 1 year. Students are struggling with mental health as well. And the research has shown in the United States that nearly 20% of the students have been thinking in some ways of committing suicide. In India, and probably Dr. Priyadarshini has suggested you that every 1 hour, one student commits suicide. So by the time we finish these two presentations, Dr. Thapit's and mine, one student has committed suicide because they don't see the future. Now, we can stop it. They are connected to us. Students come to us to study, to live, to see dreams or hope, and to get skilled and knowledge and all this kind of stuff, and degrees too. But we have to make sure that we understand them first. So recognizing it, that someone has a stress level is very high, is very important. So experiences is very important in that. So some experiences can be traumatic as well. When someone had to leave Dhaka after living there for 20 years because they lost their job or lower income, or they can't see their friends and families anymore, it's traumatic for them. It may not be for you because you have a home to stay, you have a job to attend. There might be 10% pluses and minuses here and there, but that's not what everybody is suffering from. So be careful about when we talk about social skills, because social skills doesn't mean we have a fake. And in marketing literature, for a number of decades, we have been suggesting have a fake smile, tell everybody how happy you are, and and serve your customers. It's just the opposite in higher education. Be real, be genuine. Ask from the heart to your students that how are they doing, what are they going through. Every emotion is a call for action. Remember that. Someone is not angry at you. Someone is angry because they can't manage something in their life. So that is very important. How can you work on towards that? I'm coming towards the end of my slides, so just a couple of minutes and I'll be done. So first of all, create a relationship that is based on students' emotional capacity. Cognitive means the brain, the way we make decisions. Physical, interpersonal safety is very important. I mean, the basic theory of motivation, the Maslow's hierarchy, everybody knows, I think one of the oldest and the most popular theories of all time. But safety is the primary. They must feel safe when they speak to you, when they talk to you, when they come to the university, and so forth. Foster trustworthiness. You cannot expect someone to trust you in the first day of meeting. It takes time. So build that up from the first class towards the end through different communication patterns. Intentionally facilitate peer support. So if you find that some courses can have group work, put them into group. I think it works really hard. Initially, they will struggle, they will complain, but eventually they have to work in groups in future as well. So I think this helps. And you'll be surprised, some courses, when you put it into individual course, they struggle, but when you put them into groups, it really works. I teach business analytics in the MBA program in my college. And when the course was taught as an individual student assignment based course, students struggled a lot. There was 50% fail in semester after semester. When I started teaching it, I said, well, let's put them into group and see how it works. Now, most of them, they don't fail. They still have a couple of here and there, but most of them learn a lot. So this is very important to know. How do you create and facilitate peer support, mutual self-help in your course? Promote collaboration, mutuality, and empower voice and choice. These two will be together. You basically have a one way when you create a syllabus and tell them what to do. Have you ever asked your students what do they like most? What kind of assignments they like most? Is it the case studies? Is it the final exam? Is it the quizzes? Is it the presentations? How do you map out those in your program? So why do you have a quiz and not a presentation? Everybody now has a cell phone. I mean, everybody can create a video. So why can't they express themselves? They have to do it in future when they go into the real life situation. So think from the authentic assessment point of view. Students love to have authentic assessments. And that's why someone might be very anxious not to take mathematics in the beginning, but when they finish it, they really like it because they can solve problems now. Pay attention to cultural, historical, gender, or any other issues that might be inherent in a particular society. So this is very important. Again, the way and the society works, what are the critical issues, be sensitive to those. Do not comment or do not say or do anything that might hurt the feeling of the students as a group or individual. And I think that's what we usually don't do. And finally, tell them what is there is a sense of purpose in your course. You should start with a bang with the course that this course is very important in your life. It will create an important contribution if you learn the following objectives. And students will understand that they're not doing it as part of their program, but this will also benefit them in future. You already know that great results, most of you have excellent, brilliant results in your academic life, no doubt about that. But you also need to have high emotional intelligence that will create a success in your leadership, in your managerial capacities, and so forth. So you need both. And I'm sure that others have also suggested that emotional intelligence can be learned, can be practiced. It should be a way of life, just like you are doing ethical work, ethical, life every day. So if you see someone is in need, you voluntarily go and help. Similarly, emotional intelligence should be a built-in process in you. You cannot add it every day and take it out. This is something that you have to practice continuously. And the benefit will not start from tomorrow morning, but in years to come. Always remember that. And you can create constant training. You should be trained. Your university has started this process. I'm sure in future there'll be more trainings coming up on particular areas where you can definitely benefit more and more, and not necessarily always with the theoretical emotional intelligence, but more practical, more case study based, so that you can see how to manage well. Don't forget, when we had COVID-19, all of a sudden our university said, go and teach online. Did you have any training at that time? I don't think so. But now, after a year, you're a great teacher. So in the online area, now you can teach anywhere in the world, in fact. So think from that perspective, that how universities are creating opportunities for you as well. So those who are really good teachers, they continuously learn. They learn from when you teach, you actually do not teach one person, you are teaching yourself as well. So a social skills level, emotional intelligence, engaged learning, and learning from doing, these are all connected to each other. So do not hesitate to take up challenges. This is very important. If you are, an emotionally intelligent teacher, um, reflect on your behavior, critically reflect on your behavior. What did you do in the last 6 months to develop your professional standing, both nationally and globally? Did you work on a project? Did you have an idea that you always wanted to implement, but you didn't have time? If you don't have time, then share it with your colleague and ask and invite them to work with you. Always remember, sharing is caring, and sharing, people do not like to share the knowledge. They think that others will copy it. They can copy it, but they cannot practice it. This is very, very important. And you should always have, since you are an emotionally intelligent professor, you should be positive, assertive, and be hopeful all the time. So do not be negative. Do not be saying to their students that you cannot support them. It doesn't matter how bad the situation is. You always have to say you can help them out, because they look upon you all the time. They do not go and see the vice chancellor sir all the time. They don't go and see the dean or the vice chancellor all the time. They see you. You are the first and the last point of contact. Always remember that. And finally, thanks for being with me today and also giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I'm happy to have further discussion with any of you. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ejaz Ahmed, for clearly discussing the social skills in classroom teaching. And you have discussed that if we are socially skilled in teaching our students, then it can help us to become a successful teacher. That means social skills understand how to react. We need to modify our interactions with others. We need to resolve our conflicts, and we need to make exemplary behavior with others through our students. And you're very correct that we need to ensure engaged learning, and that is possible if we give our students opportunity to engage deeply in their own learning. So thank you very much. So our dear colleagues, we have arrived at the last stage of today's workshop on emotional intelligence and classroom teaching. Just I would like to sum up the whole discussions made by our 4 honorable speakers tonight in a nutshell. Professor Priyadarshini, she discussed one of the components of emotional intelligence and the application of that component, empathy, in classroom teaching. She mentioned in her lecture that IQ alone is not enough for us to handle all the things. We also need to be emotionally intelligent to handle our classroom, to handle our students, to handle all the things we handle today, every day. She also mentioned that we not only deal with the culture, with the behavior of our students, or we also deal with their emotions, with the emotions of our students. And she classified three layers of understanding students: peripheral layer, secondary layer, and tertiary layer. And she wanted to say that to get into all this level of students, we must have higher level of emotional intelligence. She also defined empathy by saying that seeing with the eyes of others, listening to the ears of others, and feeling with the heart of others is empathy. She also mentioned that in our classroom teaching, we should focus more on empathy, not sympathy. But unfortunately, we focus 80%. We are involved, 80% involved in showing a sympathy to our students, and 20% involved in showing our empathy to our students. She also classified empathy, mentioned the classification empathy, and those are the effective empathy, that means the ability to understand others' emotion. Then somatic empathy, that means the feeling someone else's pain physically. And cognitive empathy, that means others mental state of others, understanding mental state of others. And the second speaker was Professor Ajanta Dharmeshwari. He in fact focused on um, self-awareness and self-monitoring and classroom teaching. He nicely gave some examples, and he also mentioned that the emotion is the function of feeling and associated thoughts. And he said it is nothing but the capacity to understand one's own feeling and to understand the feeling of others, and that is the emotional intelligence. Professor Ajanta said that a professor is involved with three things. He is a designer, he is a deliverer, and he is a developer. Therefore, he needs to develop contents, he needs to understand the context, and he needs to execute. And for this purpose, he or she or faculty member needs to communicate well with confidence. And for this, he mentioned that we need mindfulness, which is very important. And in his lecture, he mentioned that leaders should have 70% higher level of emotional intelligence than his or her follower. Professor Arhan talked about self-motivation. He mentioned that we can use emotions to maximize intellectual processing and decision making in classroom setting. And in his lecture, he also mentioned Bloom's taxonomy, from lots to hots: memorizing, understanding, analyzing, applying, evaluating, and creating abilities of the students. And the last speaker, Professor Dr. Rizaz Ahmed, who discussed nicely the social skills and its importance in classroom teaching. He also mentioned that the expressions we make every day are more are negative expressions than positive expressions. And research shows that an individual in a day expresses 3,000 emotional expressions are made by an individual, and about 2,000 expressions are negative and 1,000 expressions are positive. So we need to reduce these negative expressions of emotions. And he discussed social skills by saying that we need to understand how to react and interact with others. We need to modify our interactions and reactions. We need to resolve conflict, and we need to make our behavior exemplary. Dr. Rezaz also mentioned that we need to ensure engaged learning in classroom teaching. So by following andragogy for the adult learning system and following pedagogy for the child learning. So if we can engage our students in learning, if we can give them opportunity to engage deeply in their own learning, then we may become successful teacher. He also mentioned that success is the function of IQ and EQ. Research shows that the 20% success is concerned with IQ and 80% success is concerned with EQ or EI. So with this, I would like to say that the emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, use, and manage our emotions in positive way, to relieve our stress, to relieve our tension, communicate effectively, and empathize with others, and overcome the challenges and diffuse our conflict. It is concerned with the communication, with the management, with the problem solving, and with the relationships within our workplace. So dear participants, with this, I would like to say that the emotional intelligence is a very important aspect in classroom teaching, and that can help us to become a good teacher, that can help us to make our students understand, and that can help us to make our teaching effective. With this, I would like to conclude here today. Now, I am requesting Ms. Farzana to conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Every beginning has an ending, and finally the time has come to say goodbye. But before saying goodbye, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our honorable guests, experts, for this nice journey with us today, especially for our honorable session chair, our Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Dr. Mohammad Anwar Hussain, also Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam sir, to take this great initiative of arranging such a nice workshop on emotional intelligence in classroom teaching. I also mention the thanks to all the research persons and experts for their valuable ideas and relevant thoughts about the stated issue. Thank you for the coordination team for their enthusiastic efforts, especially Dr. Javed Mahmood sir, who guided us so well. Moreover, Afroza Parveen madam, Dr. Sedan Akhtar madam, especially the program host Abdullah Muhammad Ibrahim, Mr. Anis, also Ms. Benazir Rahman for continuous support, Tausif Shafayat Ali and Shirin Shakil. From the very beginning till end, I was with you, Farzana Chaudhuri, Senior Lecturer, Northern University, Bangladesh. At last, I want to thank all the faculties who are with us for the whole session and make their patience to stay with us. Thank you all. Stay safe and goodbye.